I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your NXT review for August 14th, 2013. We return to the Full Sail Arena, as does William Regal, which could only mean one thing. Well, actually two things. Great commentary, and Alex Riley has been kicked right back to the curb, which is kind of sad. I mean, I love William Regal and everything, but I liked Alex Riley on commentary, I'm not gonna lie, and hopefully he won't fade back into obscurity, but I wouldn't count on it. But we're starting off the show a little bit differently this time because we got Paul Heyman, and I'm like, what is Paul Heyman doing here on NXT? See him on all these big WWE events with thousands and thousands of people in the arena. And here, Paul Heyman, he's in this very small arena with all these tight-knit fans, and I'm thinking, man, this is really reminiscent of ECW up in here. You even had the crowd chanting NXT, NXT before he came out, so it was very strange. Paul Heyman gets on the microphone and he's putting over NXT, talking about how great they are, and I'm just like, you know, I know that Paul Heyman's a bad guy, but I just can't help but love him at this point. He says the future is here. The future is here on NXT, and we're gonna be looking for the next Paul Heyman guy. That's what he's here to do. Here on NXT, there's even gonna be a next Paul Heyman. There's even gonna be a next Brock Lesnar. And then Paul Heyman brings out Curtis Axel, the Intercontinental Champion. And I was like, aw, everything went sour so quickly. And he says that old Curtis Axel is perfect. No, he's better than perfect, and he doesn't need to defend his Intercontinental Championship here, and there's not even one single person in Florida that's good enough to take him on. And I was like, oh, Paul, we were loving you, and you had to swat us down like that, and the crowd obviously didn't like that because they are in Florida. But here comes down to the ring from Florida himself, Big E Langston, and man, you know that Big E Langston is super over as a babyface over here on this show. Honestly, could not help but think, when Paul Heyman's talking about the next Brock Lesnar, look no further than Big E Langston. I mean, he's like the next Brock who can talk. And there it is, Curtis Axel, the Intercontinental Champion, defending his belt against Big E Langston. The crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Paul." See, it didn't even take the crowd that long to forgive Paul. It's kind of hard to hate Paul Heyman, which is odd, because Paul Heyman doesn't seem like a very likable person. I mean, he was like almost a nobody in WCW. I mean, he was a good manager and everything, but he got fired, obviously. Had the whole ECW thing, screwed over people left and right, didn't pay them, told everybody in ECW that, oh, we're going to get a new TV deal. Totally lied to their faces, went and started commentating Raw, and that's how the ECW stars found out that they were out of business. Wow, that was kind of a douche move there. But somehow, to the fans, people love him. He is like the embodiment of a cult leader. He really is. So here we are in the match. Everyone loves Big E Langston, and I don't really know how the crowd feels about Curtis Axel. I can't really tell, because they're not really doing anything. I know that a lot of people love Curtis Axel. I just don't see it. I see him as the next Drew McIntyre or Kofi Kingston or Jack Swagger. It's like they seem like they have a lot of promise in fleeting moments, and then in all the other times it's just nothing. Just nothing. They might put a belt on you, they might take it off of you, but main event spots, world title pictures, I'm just not seeing Curtis Axel's face on the WrestleMania marquee. I saw Curtis Axel do a snapmare to Big E Langston. It kind of seems awkward for like a medium-sized guy to be doing a snapmare of all moves to a giant behemoth man. It doesn't seem like big giant guys should be getting snapmared, but maybe I'm just crazy. And midway through this match, Paul Heyman, he comes in with a double axe handle that William Shatner would have been proud of himself to the back of Big E Langston. This instantly causes a disqualification, and Big E Langston says, screw this. He starts attacking Curtis Axel, starts attacking everybody, and even does his patented NXT 5 count, and I guess declares himself the victor of that whole battle. And the crowd starts chanting one more time, but they instantly cut to another segment because I'm sure that he actually did the one more time, probably once or twice or 3 times to satisfy the crowd. The NXT production crew did not give us that satisfaction of seeing it. What we see instead is Sami Zayn giving an interview saying he's not ashamed of who he is, and he wants a 2 out of 3 falls match with that real American Antonio Cesaro. So that'll be next week. Mason Ryan has a match. About 2 people stood up for Mason Ryan. I just shake my head. I mean, he's got some very impressive muscles. That's about it. I'm sorry, dude. I don't even know what to say. You got Sylvester Lafort coming out and introducing Scott Dawson, which, I guess his other redneck tag team partner is gone or something. I missed that, but it looks like Scott Dawson is all on his own now. And they start wrestling. Cassidy and his partner come running down, and Mason Ryan basically does the squash, and yeah, I don't really have much to say about that. Now we got Paige, the NXT Women's Champion. She was supposed to take on Emma because she won that dance battle, but because she had an injury or whatever, now the loser, Summer Rae, gets to have that opportunity. And I was like, well, that's kind of screwy. And let me say something. On my last review, I was praising the dance angle, and praising it to the point where I thought that it wasn't horrible. Okay. But I don't know if I didn't realize or it didn't fully impact in my brain that was a number 1 contendership match, them doing a dance battle. I did not exactly factor that in completely into my conclusion that this was okay and acceptable. Now thinking about it, I think that's quite ridiculous. They just had this humongous tournament style thing to decide who the champion is, and then I guess one of the first ways they figure out who's the number 1 contender is to do a dance battle. I mean, I still like the dance battle and it's fine, but it is quite awkward, and plus the person who won doesn't get the title match now. The loser gets that number 1 contendership match, even though Emma is still the number 1 contender. The point is, the championship is on the line against the loser. Do you see what I'm saying? So that was quite bizarre. Paige looks like she's just about to just beat Summer Rae before the bell was even rung and the championship was held up in the air, telling everybody that the belt was on the line. Now, if you look back at the match, and when Paige tries to, kind of run at Summer Rae before the match, the referee stops her. He, touches her stomach, right? And the look on the referee's face as it pans out or whatever was just classic. I mean, I was thinking that is probably the exact same look that would be on my face. The match was good. Paige hits her finisher, the Page Turner. And I wonder to myself, does Booker T in his book of Fave 5 have an entire page dedicated to Paige? Or does he have a chapter of Paige? I wonder if that chapter is a real Page Turner. That joke sounded a lot funnier in my head. Moving on. We see AJ, and she's standing backstage saying that she's going to have a match for next week, which is kind of odd because why would she just be hanging out there if she's not going to have a match tonight? I smell a pre-tape going on right now, and she's going to be taking on somebody for her Divas Championship right here on NXT, and I'm thinking, I hope that it's Paige, but no. My dreams were smashed. Well, somewhat, because here comes Bayley. And Bayley really trips me out because I actually have somebody in my family named Bayley, and she kind of acts like and looks like Bayley. So I just have to like her even more. So Bayley, she's very weird, she's very, clingy, and she's kind of crazy. So she fits well with AJ, except she might possibly be a little bit more crazy, right? She's kind of like a super fan that's just kind of awkward and whatnot, but I mean, she plays it off so well. Her acting on it actually is pretty good. And she's begging, she's like, what would be great, AJ? If I could have a match with you. And after I beat you, we could still be friends and everything, and I know that people think you're crazy, but if you have a match with me, that wouldn't make you crazy at all or whatever, but it was great. I liked it. So AJ is gonna have a match with Bayley, and Bayley in return hugs AJ, so that's gonna be cool. I really can't wait for that next week. And Dolph Ziggler is going to apparently be there next week, even though he wasn't in the pre-tape. They just showed a little video package of him. Alright, so the Shield versus Corey Graves, Xavier Woods, and Adrian. And I was like, okay. Now the match, I thought it was going to be great, but like, I don't know. At the beginning of the match, it was kind of slow, and I just was not invested in it. It could have been better than I remember it being. I was just kind of like, oh, at that time. But the match did kick off towards the end, getting like pretty exciting and everything. But the Shield, of course, won. You got the tag team champions and United States champion all up in the same group. And it's funny because I just watched, I think it was WrestleMania 26, where The Miz had 2 tag team championships and a United States championship all by himself. And I had the thought in my head, does this mean that The Miz himself is better than the entire Shield? And then I laughed at myself and proceeded to slap myself twice. But Antonio Cesaro closing off the show in a backstage segment, which was actually kind of weird now that I think about it. A backstage interview was the end of the show, but I mean, I guess since this actually doesn't air on television anywhere than Hulu Plus and pirated places on the internet, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Maybe it shows in other countries, I'm not sure, but I wasn't offended by it or anything, I'm just saying. Antonio Cesaro, he's talking about that 2 out of 3 falls match and how he accepts the match. And then Sami Zayn comes and attacks. He comes and beats him up. And then a great line by Antonio Cesaro as he's laid on the floor, all upset. I think even his lid got knocked off. And he was just so mad. And he screamed out, Zayn! And I was just like, holy crap. Gone! So it was great. I marked out for that. Wrath of Khan is gold. I think he was trying to pull that off a little bit. There is NXT. It was a pretty good show and punctuated by a con line from Wrath of Khan. I don't know about you, but that's thumbs up in my book. I'm going to see you guys next time, but first, I'm going to throw on another YWF explosion clip so all y'all can see. Y'all know I do a lot of editing on that show and voice work and commentary and all kinds of stuff on that channel. So I want you to check it out because we're trying to get more subscribers and whatnot, that whole bit. And we figure, well, we might as well advertise because, in wrestling, you just kind of do those things all the time with these packages and commercials and promos. It's just how it works. So let's see how well it works as you watch it now. Thanks for watching.
Look, Dad, it's Chronics. Go get him, champ!
Shut the fuck up!